Welcome back. You're watching Morning Live. Now today, the Chamber of Mines is taking the Minister of Mineral Resources, Msebenzi Zwane, to court to challenge the new mining charter they announced last week. The Chamber claims that it was not properly consulted and blames the department for setting unworkable targets. The revised mining charter was tabled by Minister Zwane a fortnight ago and has received differing views. President Zuma says that he welcomes it, whilst black business leaders Jabu Mabuza commented that it will make it harder for companies to ensure progress in transformation. Joining us is now to talk a little bit more about this move by the Chamber is Mamokgethi Molopyane. Thank you very much for joining us and welcome to you.
Good morning.
Let's perhaps start with a bit of a historical view on this.
Yes.
What prompted the revision of the mining charter?
Peter and the viewers, one would remember that the minister under section 100/2 of the MPRDA has the prerogative to set up a mining charter, and within that mining charter there must be targets that are set up. And so that happened in 2005. That happened in 2005 when that one was set. But that they would time and again come up to review progress and to see if the targets that by they meaning the Department of Mineral Resources, the business sector of mining and labor, all the stakeholders, the targets that they have set, they have met. And so each and every 4 years it gets reviewed. We had the first one in 2005, then we had in 2010, and now they have been reviewing this one. If you recall, last year, that's when the whole process of reviewing and checking if mining companies, for example, have met that 26%, have managed to do that. But also when it came up for review and the closing date was May 2016, you and I could submit comments. Those of us who are interested in the mining industry, who analyze it and look at it, you could submit comments. Anybody could submit comments to say, how can we make the charter better? But for them, it was to measure progress and see where they are failing and implement other things.
All right, so then the minister announced this new charter. There had been discussions, but this charter came through and the Chamber said they were taken by surprise. The market was taken by surprise. The JSE shed 51 billion rand in one day on that announcement. And there are now two sides to this story. What actors judge? Tell us what both sides are saying and what your view is that might be the middle ground.
Both sides are saying, the ministry is saying, we consulted extensively, and they list about 60, they say we consulted more than 60 organizations and 60 engagements with people. And if you listen to the minister, the day he released the charter, he said, we mustn't assume that the Chamber of Mines are the only stakeholder in the mining industry. The Chamber then comes back that afternoon in their press briefing and say, the last time we had meaningful engagements about the charter with the DMR was in 2016. And then they said, the last meetings we've had with DMR was in March, but around general issues in the mining industry. So here we are, two key stakeholders, the policymaker, the enforcer, saying, I consulted, you must not be perceived as you are the only one who is there. The Chamber is saying, you didn't, and we would regard ourselves as important because after all, it represents 90% of the mining companies that are operating in South Africa. So between the two of them, one of them is not telling the truth. And so it's really hard to gauge when, on the other hand, somebody saying, we have been chatting to people, and the other person is saying, but you haven't spoken to us.
All right, so the terms themselves, 26% to 30%, a layperson will say, what's wrong with that? Chamber is saying, listen, this is going to have catastrophic effects if it is enforced. Talk us through that. What could be the possible consequences?
Look, Peter, one of the key issues that I have always argued and raised is that in a country like ours, and when we are looking at the legacy of mining industry, a percentage shouldn't really be an issue because we have key minerals in the country. I do think moving from 26% to 30%, when you listen to the minister in that briefing, they gave no reason as to why they came to the conclusion that we will up the 26 to 30%. Do you remember that leading to in the time of the charter under review, the ministry kept saying the mining companies have not met the 26%, whereas the mining company said we have. So there has again been a clash about that. Another key aspect, I think, why the companies are saying they cannot afford to 30%, which in my view, based on the fact that we have some strategic minerals that are mostly within South Africa, like platinum, it shouldn't be an issue. But the companies are saying, well, if you're measuring in terms of the pace of how long it got us for us to get BEE partners from the time the charter was implemented to now, we have struggled to find BEE partners who are able to keep up their percentage, and therefore making it hard to find even more. I do think, though, that is simply an excuse.
All right. So the courts are going to have to hear this case, and again, it's all going to be about we weren't properly consulted. Do you think that they will get sympathy from the courts?
Yes. I mean, when you listen to the management of the Chamber of Mines, Peter, in that afternoon, in the briefing after Minister tabled the charter, and the language and the tone that was coming from them was of confidence that they will be successful in the courts. But and also when you have looked at the history of government versus so-and-so going to the courts, it hasn't always favored government. But at the same time, this is a mining industry, and it has a historical legacy of terrible history. But at the same time, it mustn't be seen as standing in the way of transformation. I do think, however way the charter was structured, whoever structured it, whoever worded it, that is going to give the chamber an ammunition moving to the courts. Unfortunately, we know the impact is always to the mine worker, will always be to the mine worker, because shortly during that briefing, I even asked myself, the chamber, what's going to happen to jobs? And they said, already with little uncertainty, we were struggling to keep up in terms of our policy, South Africa, and we were seeing retrenchments. Now you can rest assured retrenchments will follow. And when they happen, Peter, they do not affect you and me. They affect the actual mine worker who goes underground.
All right, so we're going to have to leave it there. It's a story that we'll have to keep following up, but perhaps we'll chat again after the court has made its decision, and we'll see what happens. But it does, one gets a sense that the political overtone with this particular story. Mamokgethi Molopyane, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed for your thoughts this morning. All right, okay, we're going to take a quick